I haven't told anyone but my closest friends this story, and I don't like talking about it, but here goes nothing. Let me give a bit of a foreword before this starts. I will not be releasing any info onto where this story takes place, as that would be doxing one of my family members. I don't know where the subject of this story is exactly, all I know is that it was somewhere deep in the forest. I have looked for this place again and haven't had any luck finding it. Be me. Big into guns and the outdoor. Decide fuck it and go camping. Be walking in a woods on my uncle's property. Uncle has a farm in northwestern Virginia near the Blue Ridge Mountains. Farm is surrounded by forests and cow farms, has a quite large patch of woods on his property, as well as a lake and a stream that runs down from the mountains. Bring along Marlin .22 bolt action and SKS for tactical in a woods fuckery. Walk into the forest, set up camp in a clearing after walking for a few hours. Clearing was about 1 acre in diameter with tall brown grass covering most of it. Towards one end of the clearing there was an abandoned fire truck and the remnants of an old trail. After taking some pics of the area and getting all my gear set up, I decided to do some mag dumps into the side of a hill with my SKS. I spent the rest of the afternoon shooting off half a tin of 7.62 and plinking empty cans with my .22 rifle. It's early March, so the sun still starts to go down pretty early and it's still fairly cold. Put away my gats and go into the woods to grab wood. Smell something dead. Look around to see a rotting deer carcass hung over a low tree branch. What the fuck? Examine the carcass. Head is on the ground and the antlers are snapped. Skull caved in. Most of the bones are snapped and strewn all over the place. Only parts that were unbroken for the most part were the spine, the tailbone, and ribs. There was still bits of rotting meat stuck to the intact bones, but the broken ones including the skull were picked clean. Whatever ate it didn't finish it. Nope, out and walk back to camp. Think it was a bear, as there are black bears in the area and that would be the best explanation. Eventually shove it to the back of my mind as I get things set up. I get a fire set up and start cooking some food. Set up tent. Hear coyotes in the distance as I eat. Finish eating and clean up my camp. Get in tent and snuggle up in sleeping bag. Cozy as fuck. JPG. Fall asleep. Wake up in middle of night. Check phone to see it's around 4 a.m. Feel cold despite wearing jacket and being in sleeping bag. Eventually get tired and fall back asleep. Woke up around 7 o'clock and started making some breakfast. The air was quite cold, significantly colder than yesterday. Barely think about what had happened last night. Have my breakfast. This nigga eatin' beans LMAO. Pack up camp after finishing a cup of coffee instant type 2. Thank you Steve 1989. Get everything stuffed into my bag and continue on my merry way. Decide I wanna try some fishing on the lake, wasn't sure exactly where it was but had a general sense of direction. Eventually reach the lake after a leisurely hike while taking in all that nature. The lake had dark murky water and you could barely even see the bottom near the shore. All you can see is the reflection of the trees and the sky off the surface. Get out collapsible fishing rod and cast into the lake. While I was waiting for a bite, I looked around my bag to find I was missing all my ammo apart from a few stripper clips of 7.62 I had tucked away in my pockets. All my .22, my ammo can, and my main knife were gone. I could have sworn I packed it up when I left camp, but the harder I thought about it the harder it became to remember it. I tried to brush it off as me just being careless, but something at the back of my mind said otherwise. As I repacked the stuff into my pack I heard the sound of something hitting the water. I turn around to see that my fishing rod has been dragged off by a fish. Rest in peace cheap shitty rod. Mildly angry I slung my rifle over my shoulder and attached the other one to my pack as I set off to find something else to do. I walked for what seemed like hours until I came to an area with a lot of cedar trees. I had never remembered seeing this area when I came camping here before, Then again, I was a kid last time I camped, so I didn't think much of it. I decided I'd have a look and see what it was. At this point I was way far outside the border of my uncle's property. The thick evergreen branches blocked out most of the light, giving it a very dark atmosphere. I hadn't noticed it until then, but the closer I got to this area of the forest, the less wildlife I heard. Everything was very quiet, with only the occasional cricket here and there. I checked the time to see it's around 1 p.m. and seeing as I have plenty of daylight and I'm sufficiently armed, curiosity gets the better of me and I decide to go into the cedar grove. As I go deeper into the grove, I feel the air start to become colder. An almost electric feeling hung in the cold air as I walked further on. I became rather jumpy, reacting at even the slightest sound other than the crunch of twigs and pine needles beneath my feet. Eventually the grove opens up into a clearing. The canopy of the trees made even this area quite dark. At one end of the clearing are trees bent over and twisted to form an arch. Beyond the arch is more twisted trees and branches arranged to form a nest-like structure. Scattered around the clearing is random shit like cloths, pots and pans, boots, random bits of metal, and a fuckload of carcasses and random bones spread around. The air is the coldest it's been and I can see my breath as steam. There is a slight breeze and I can hear the sounds of the trees creaking in the wind. The whole thing was nope to begin with, but it just had to know what this was. I shouldered my SKS as I took a few steps forward. The gun is usually kept loaded with the safety on when I'm walking in a woods in case of bears and shit like that. I tried to avoid stepping on the random shit on the ground as I didn't want to make too much noise. My heart increased as I neared the nest. I was around 20 yards from the nest when I could faintly make out a shape within the nest. Heard a clicking noise that sounded like predator or a fucking velociraptor. Freeze with fear as I'm aiming my rifle at whatever was in the nest. The clearing seemed even darker than before and it was hard to see anything. I stood stock still waiting for something to happen. Then the dark shape moved a bit and two huge, round glowing yellow eyes blinked at me from the darkness. Tactically shit myself as fight or flight kicks into high rucking gear. Mag dump into whatever the thing was. Blinded and deafened and I haul ass out of the clearing, tripping over shit as I went. Slowly regained sight as I ran through the grove. Hear a skittering noise and the clicking behind me as I booked it through the woods. Eventually exit the grove and I'm completely lost. Stumble around in the forest for hours. By the time the sun is setting I find my way back to the lake. Exhausted I set up my tent and keep SKS at ready. Pass out. Wake up as the sun was just starting to come up. Feel that cold electrical feel again. Hear clicking. Nope 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 nope. So much fucking nope. Lay there holding SKS waiting for whatever it was to come and gut me like a fish. It felt like an eternity as I heard light skitters around my tent. I had my eyes closed praying to Jesus, Joseph, Mary, the saints, and all the archangels that this thing doesn't rip open my tent and eat my ass. Open eyes to see where this thing was. Get quick glimpse of a thin, very long, almost snake-like quadrupedal with a humanoid-looking head walking beside my tent. Adrenaline hits and I blind fire at the silhouette of the creature. My ears are ringing and I keep my eyes shut to accept my fate. A few minutes pass and nothing. I open my eyes to see the morning sun peeking through the trees. Grab my bag and my .22 and GTFO. Leave my tent and a bunch of shit behind. Walk for another few hours waiting for the creature to pop out and rape me. Eventually make it back to my car. Get in and drive home. Didn't even stop to take a piss or clean the numerous cuts I had. Moral of the story, kids: don't drop in on spooky forest demons.